The Last of Us is a seminal release in PlayStation's history and one we here at Push Square are very familiar with. However, with the introduction of the show and the remake, the franchise has been reintroduced to a lot of new audience. And one of those people, one of those gamers, is Felix from Nintendo Life, who's joining me here today. Thank you for being here, Felix.
Thank you for letting me be here. Yes, I just finished The Last of Us here last week or 2 weeks ago. I can't really remember. But one of the first things I thought when playing this game, hey, I should talk with Aaron about this. And then Aaron thought, hey, we should make a video about it. So here we are.
Yeah, as soon as you said, I was like, we're getting him. I need any excuse to get you on this channel. So we've got a good one. So the first thing I want to really cover is obviously you're playing this game over a decade after it's been released, and this game has now come out 3 separate times on PlayStation 3, 4 and 5. What did you actually know about the game before you actually played it?
I think that... So I knew a pretty big spoiler. I knew that Joel will save Ellie in the end. That was the only thing I knew about the game. I know it was going to be this adventure with these 2 characters, and they were... the story was really great. I actually had no idea what the gameplay was or anything like that. So I think that's about it. I went in pretty blind.
Yeah. That's surprising after so long as well.
But I did play it with my wife, and she knew nothing about it. She absolutely nothing. So I kind of got to experience the big story beats I had gotten spoiled, unfortunately, through her, and see how she would react. That's what I mean. I'm very like that with movies. After I've seen a film, I like to watch it with someone else to see how they react. Yeah. So what version of the game did you play? I played the remastered version for PlayStation, or the remake, PlayStation 5 version.
Oh, the most recent version,
yes.
The very shiny, sparkly version.
Oh yeah, my God,
it looks great.
It looks absolutely. I mean, I haven't played the other ones, but it looked really good.
Yeah, I think now the PS4 remaster is one of those ones that's it does look good still to a degree, but there are aging elements. But the PS5 version, I think it's more so having aspects they've got improved AI, they've got the DualSense haptics, and then obviously it does look amazing. There were, interestingly, as someone that's obsessed with this game, some slight changes to the art direction, the color of the sky at some points that I didn't like.
But the color of the sky! Shame! This game is unplayable!
It's a slightly different orange. No, I'm not too happy with that. But the big question I suppose I would have about this for you is whether the reputation of the game impacted how you enjoyed it or your expectations for it in any way. Assuming you know that PlayStation players love to say this is one of the greatest stories ever told in games. Yeah. For me, if that was me, I would probably come into it thinking, is it though? Did you have any of that?
Oh yeah,
this?
I've heard about The Last of Us countless times online. 10 out of 10. It's one of the best games ever made. So I had pretty high expectations for this game. I will say the story front. That delivered. That was really great. The story was absolutely amazing. The gameplay, though, I'm not sure this is. The gameplay was fun at first. Got very repetitive very quick. I was surprised how little you actually fight against zombies and how much you just fight other people. But I guess that's quite realistic of how it could go. But it was oh, there's a zombie. I completely forgot those were in the game.
The gameplay in part 1, I think with the remake, a lot of people expected it to be more in line with part 2, which is vastly better gameplay wise. But they kind of updated the animation. They didn't really change the foundation of the gameplay. So yeah, I mean that's kind of elements of where it's kind of showing its age.
I would say though, with the gameplay, you said something about improved AI. I assume that's about the enemies and stuff. I was really impressed with just how much they react to stuff oh, he's behind that counter, oh, he's behind that sofa, oh, there's someone over here, and stuff they say to if you shoot someone, oh, you'll pay for that, and then that's the only thing they say all the time.
Yeah, there's a super cool feature in the second game. I think they maybe put it in the first, where if you kill someone No, they didn't put it in the remake. When you kill someone in the second game, their like team will maybe be like, Richard, no.
Whoa.
So like,
no.
you get things like that where it's constantly trying to make you feel bad for killing people.
Yeah.
But yeah. So was there anything else that like stood out to you as like a special factor of the game?
So I really enjoyed the music and the atmosphere of the game.
Oh,
I
yeah.
enjoyed that they put so much detail into just houses you pass through, so you can really see a life that was living there. So you go into a house and you see, they have a litter box, or they have a dog cage, stuff like that. So that really added to the this is something that, imagine if this happened in our world, which is yeah, it was.
I do think the atmosphere was like the thing that done it for me. The music as well. I think I got like the collector's edition vinyl, which took over a year to get here after buying it,
wow.
because there was like a printing malfunction at the factory. So I had to wait ages for it.
There was a slightly different color of sky.
No, send it back. But yeah, the atmosphere is like one of the best aspects of that game. I think having a post-apocalypse that felt like nuanced in a way, rather than your typical, like, I think it has cliched aspects of post-apocalyptic genre, but generally speaking it just had a more subdued tone, which I really, really liked.
Yeah. Also, even though I knew some of the major story beats, I was still really impacted by the stuff when it happened, because then you knew like the stuff leading up to it. And like the first scene where his daughter dies, man, that was hard to watch.
That still hits. Like,
yeah.
I played through that game nine times now, and that beginning scene like is crazy. Like how well it plays out even to this day, even with the older versions as well.
Yeah.
The ending was like, for some people, a point of contention. Some people love it, some people think it's alright. Where did you land in that with the ending of the game?
I don't think I was in the camp that this was an amazing ending. I really disagreed with Joel, thinking like, oh, you could save humanity. Oh, you can kill all these people and save Ellie. Of course, it's horrible that Ellie was going to die. And I can understand why. I mean, it made sense for the character to do as he did. And it was very emotional. But still, I was like, man, why did you do that, Joel?
I love like a good anti-hero. And, well, saying anti-hero, Joel outright is the villain of the game at the end.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people kind of struggle to like accept that in a way. I think a lot of people sort of misunderstand the point of the end of the game, where they say, well, Joel is the good guy, I would have done the same. And I'm like, no, well, you're supposed to know that it was like a bad thing that he done.
Oh, yeah, it's really bad. Like when you get like an assault rifle in the end, and you start shooting people, like, what the hell?
You're just mowing them down.
No, I think you totally spot on that. He turns into the bad guy in the end, and that can be a hard thing. Like when you really like a character and you've played as the character and done a lot of good stuff, when suddenly there comes a point where the character does like something you don't want to do, I can understand why people would be, a bit like, oh yeah, why did he do that? That's how I felt, but it was still a good ending. I was just a bit like, what just happened?
And with that ending though, obviously you know that there is a sequel?
Yes.
Do you think it feels like the kind of ending that needs a sequel? Are you happy to go on to part 2?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of questions like, what happens to humanity? Like, okay, they didn't save her with Ellie, are they going to do that later? I unfortunately also know some pretty big spoilers about part 2. Yeah, I know about the big thing. The big thing. But I'm excited to see my wife's reaction to it. That's going to be fun.
For a lot of people, including myself, when they announced the second game, I was so torn. I didn't think it needed a sequel. In my mind, I thought it was the kind of perfect ending for that story. And I do like endings as well, where it's almost like there is, that the game's or the characters are going to continue to exist beyond the credits. It's not just like everything's all happily ever after, So I do like those kind of endings, but I was a little torn as to whether there was a need for a sequel.
I can understand.
But I ended up
Yeah.
liking the sequel more than the first game, actually.
I've heard a lot of good stuff about the sequel. I've also heard a lot of bad stuff about the sequel.
It's a controversial game. It's like
Oh yes, it's a very yeah. I can't wait to play it and get it in my hands. I remember I watched a playthrough of PewDiePie like right when it came out. I felt like I watched a good chunk of it or something like that. So, and even though I watched it only once so many years ago, I remember so much from it. It's really weird.
Yeah. So you think you'll get round to that at some point?
Oh yeah. Right now we're playing another game because I don't like to jump from one game to the sequel right after. I like to have some breathing room in between. Otherwise, I just get burned out. But yeah, definitely. I mean, we really want to go back, especially my wife. She's not like that big of a video game person, but she really liked The Last of Us. It was like, oh, should we play The Last of Us today? You know, that kind of stuff. That never happens.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's kind of part of the power of like something that's a lot more story-based and cinematics and like you're saying, aspects of the gameplay are maybe kind of toned down for stuff like that. But no, it's one of my all-time favorites. I'm so glad that you've played it now as well, because I always just love adding like another person I can talk to about this game.
It's always nice getting to talk to people about games you like. I think just going quickly back to the ending, I think what bothered me the most was that Joel lied to Ellie about the stuff. Like that was like, man, this guy. what? Who does he think he is?
That was what I felt made it like especially powerful, was that he lied, but then you could tell she knew.
Yeah, definitely.
Like she knows.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see how that whole thing plays out, because I can't remember, the small like the dialogue stuff. I just know there's golf clubs at some point, and that's all I can say.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely get you back on whenever you've finished that game, because that's going to be, I'm very, very curious to see how you feel about that, because it seems like one of those games you either love or you hate.
Yeah.
For a lot of people that I've spoken to, so yeah, super interesting. But that's The Last of Us Part 1. Thanks for joining us, Felix.
Okay, we're just ending. Okay.
Yeah. yeah. Bro, I'm messing about. I like to just, I just do it, man. I'm just
when a friend is over in your house and you just want him to get out of here. That's lovely. Okay.
It was so nice to see you. Goodbye.
No, Aaron, it was lovely being here. I'll take any chance I get. Yeah, really fun. Thank you for having me.